BLUELOCK characters are talented in their own regard, with special weapons that each player uses to be a powerful force on whatever team that they join. But when comparing two characters with very different weapons, which one of them is actually better? Well, that's what I'll be doing today in this series called BLUELOCK Matchup. For today's matchup, we have the monster of BLUELOCK and the carrier of FC Barcha, Meguru Bachira, versus the adaptability demon and the main character of BLUELOCK, Yoichi Isagi. For the matchups, I'll be placing the two characters against each other and judging them based on who has the better of a specific attribute. I'll be having them compete in terms of physique, speed, stamina, IQ and game IQ, vision, dribbling, offense, defense, positioning and off-the-ball movements, finishing, ego, passing, shooting, chemical reactions, and main weapon. Now remember, these kinds of videos are fully opinionated with evidence from the manga to support my opinion. If your opinion is different, that's totally fine. As long as you guys enjoy the video, that's all that matters. I would also like to address that these stats in this video also don't mean that one player is better than the other in the actual series. It's all kind of relative to when looking at the two players on paper, which of them is better. Before I begin, I want to let you guys know that I do have a Discord server, and if you guys are interested in joining that, you can click the link at the top of the description to join and become a part of the community. And like all of my videos, spoilers for the BLUELOCK manga up to chapter 269 of the manga, and if you aren't caught up to that point in the series, I would suggest you click off the video right now because there will be spoilers. Alright, now without further ado, let's get into the breakdown of who is better, Meguru Bachira or Yoichi Isagi. Starting off with physique, I think it's very hard to decide which of these two characters gets that, but in my opinion, I'm going to be giving this point to Bachira. In reference to physique, both characters don't show a lot of physical feats that would make me put one over the other. My main reason for picking Bachira over Isagi is simply because of the amount of dexterity, control, and strength that he showed throughout the series. Taking a look at the entrance exam of BLUELOCK, Bachira was not only able to launch a powerful kick at Igaguri, but he did it from a handstanding position. This was also done with such speed that Igaguri didn't actually know what was happening, as Bachira was asleep for one moment and then awake the next. He was also able to launch a powerful kick at Kira at the beginning of the entrance exam as well. Bachira was also able to overpower Nagi in the second selection, who attempted to foul him to stop his rogue dribbling. Looking at the more recent feats though, it's very hard to decide which of these characters deserves that point, simply because Isagi isn't a very physical player, and Bachira hasn't been seen since the 2v2 Egoist 4 match. So simply going off of previous feats, I'm going to be giving this point to Bachira. When looking at speed, I'm also going to be giving that point to Bachira. When looking at the speed between both of the characters, it makes the most sense to me that Bachira would be the faster of the two. In the U20 match, Bachira was able to catch up to Isagi as they began their final push against the U20 team, and it's pretty clear that Isagi was ahead of Bachira when he caught up to him. In the more recent Barcha game, he was able to break past Kunigami using his new dribbling, and was able to keep up with Isagi despite his feint. I'm not saying that Isagi isn't fast because his speed is fairly decent, I'm just saying that Bachira is definitely the faster of the two. For stamina though, I'm actually going to be giving this point to Isagi. While Bachira's constant passing, movements, and dribbling would expend a large amount of stamina, the one thing that gives Isagi an edge in terms of stamina is his use of metavision. As after only a single rally of using metavision, Isagi was incredibly exhausted and could only use metavision in short bursts for the rest of the match. That was until the Ubers match where thanks to both Kunigami and Raichi, Isagi was able to keep metavision active for almost the entirety of the game. And this also extends into the latest match being against PXG. So simply due to his constant use of metavision and the physical tax that it puts on someone's body, I'm going to have to give the point for stamina to Isagi. When looking at IQ, this also goes to Isagi. I don't really think we need to argue who's smarter between Bachira and Isagi. I mean, Bachira acts like an immature airhead in some moments and a rambunctious child in another. Not saying that's indicative of IQ, but when you put the two side by side, it's not a hard argument to make when saying Isagi is the smarter of the two. When discussing game IQ, that also goes to Isagi. I have no doubt or hesitation when saying both characters have good game IQ. However, when comparing the two, to say that Isagi is the superior one in this aspect is a vast understatement. Isagi's entire playstyle revolves around rationality and understanding game flow to make plays. In order to be able to understand everything that's happening so easily while under the physical and mental strain, not to mention adrenaline, you need to have an incredibly high game IQ. Not to mention his awakening of metavision is only due to his high game IQ, as without it, he would most likely not unlock metavision. So I think it's fair to say that Isagi takes the point for game IQ. For vision, I'm going to have to give the same answer and explanation as my previous answer, that being Isagi. I already explained metavision, so that point alone should win Isagi the argument in relation to vision, but when discussing the far reaches of his metavision, Isagi was not only able to predict an unpredictable shot from the number 2 striker in the world, but with his use of metavision, was able to match Rain in his flow state. Plus, very similarly to game IQ, Isagi's entire playstyle is formulated around his vision, so this one is a no-brainer. Now like the previous 3 categories, this one is an easy one-sided fight. However, this time, the point for dribbling goes to Bachira. Bachira has dribbled dribbled for over a decade of his life, spending his entire childhood mastering his elastic dribbling. He also has 2 unique dribbling styles aside from the one that I just mentioned, and has been shown to dribble through entire teams on his own. If not for the bullshittery of Sendo clutching up more than the actual goalies, Bachira would have defeated the entire U20 defense on his own with only the use of his dribbling. And after his training with Lavenho, he did the exact same thing to Bayern München, not only defeating the newly awakened wildcard Kunigami, but actually scoring this time around. While Izagi's dribbling has greatly improved since the start of the NEL, the fact of the matter is that even if Isagi practiced for 2 decades, he would still never be as good of a dribbler as Meguru Bachira. Now for offense, this is a little tricky, and I'm gonna have to say Isagi for this one. I used to firmly believe that Bachira was a better forward than Isagi, however with Isagi's recent performance as Bayern München's offensive midfielder, I think it's fair to say that Isagi is currently better on offense. Isagi has contributed 3 separate assists during his time in the NEL, 1 to Kunigami, 1 to Yukimiya, and 1 unintentionally to Kaiser. He's also scored 3 goals with the use of his direct shooting, which he can now use both feet for. And with his world-class shooting technique, the twin gun volley, Isagi's deadliness on offense has only increased. His resourcefulness is also something that deserves to be considered, given his ability to formulate plans with several alternative options being an incredible asset on the pitch. Not to mention the advantages his metavision and link-up plays grant him, such as Planet Hotline with Corona, or his top performance with Hiyori. If you were to ask me to pick between both players solely based on their individual skills, I would most likely pick Bachira. But in relation to total offensive capability on a team, I have to choose Isagi, which is why I'm giving him this point. And similarly to offense, on defense, Isagi is also getting this point. Isagi has shown several incredible displays of defense, being able to predict the unpredictable shot from Chris Prince, as well as block Baro on 4 separate occasions. He was also able to read the link-up of Nanase and Rin at the start of the PXG match, intercepting their pass. When looking at Bachira's feats and weapons, he really doesn't have the skills in his arsenal to play defense. I mean, as the defender, you really don't want to be dribbling so close to the net once you get possession, and I think that being able to read the field of play is a way more useful asset on defense, which is why Isagi is getting the point. Now I know that the majority of this video has been Isagi glaze, and unfortunately, like the rest of the video, for positioning / off the ball movements, I'm going to have to give this point to Isagi. Before awakening metavision and being able to play more actively, Isagi's playstyle throughout the second selection to the U20 match very heavily relied on positioning himself into favorable locations that utilize the blind spots of other players. He still does this now, however he doesn't need to do it as much thanks to metavision. And given his direct shot weapon, he needs to be able to position himself in a situation where he can immediately take a shot which results in a goal. If this argument was for on the ball movements, you could easily make an argument for Bachira being over Isagi, but because it isn't on the ball movements, I have to give this point to Isagi. When discussing finishing, this also goes to Isagi. Isagi has been shown to be great at concocting and executing plans, especially with players such as Nagi, Hiyori, Corona, and even Bachira himself. Given that Isagi is usually at the end result, specifically with 3 of those characters, it makes sense that he deserves the point for finishing. When looking at the times that Bachira has scored as opposed to Isagi, Isagi outclasses him in total number of goals in the series, showing that when it comes to finishing off plays, Isagi is clearly superior. Both are skilled when referring to building up plays, but when it comes to finishing off plays, I would simply take Isagi over Bachira any day. For ego, come on, it's pretty obvious who has the better ego here, that being Isagi. Do I even really need to explain why Isagi has the better ego here? I mean, not only is he the main character, but Bachira himself calls him the egoist. And unlike Bachira, Isagi didn't go through an ego reconstruction during the second selection. His ego has been solid and firm since the series began. There's no doubt in my mind in saying that Isagi has the better ego, and if you think otherwise, then you're just wrong. Now for passing, we can finally put a hold on the Isagi glaze, because this point easily goes to Meguru Bachira. While Isagi can pull off insanely quick 1-2 passes, or even hit curve passes without the use of metavision, it falls short in comparison to what Meguru Bachira can do, especially given that one of his weapons is literally called key passing. Bachira has been able to form numerous chemical reactions depending on his style of pass. This was shown twice in the second selection with both Nagi and Aryu, where his unique style of pass brought out each of the players' greatest strength. So for passing, Bachira easily takes this. For shooting though, Isagi is taking this one. Bachira's shooting ability for the most part is kinda trash. I mean, from the majority of his goals, only one that we've seen so far has been a normal kick. Every other goal that he scored has been some kind of chipped kick, seen in the first selection, the U20 game, and in the Barcha game. Meanwhile, Isagi here has the ability to shoot ambidextrously as well as perform his twin gun volley as previously mentioned. While I do think that direct shooting is probably one of the worst shooting types in the series, given that if he does end up trapping the ball, his shooting ability falls drastically, I still think that ambidexterity and fake volley shooting far surpasses Bachira just chipping the ball into the net, which is why Isagi's getting this point. When looking at chemical reactions, I think it's fair to say that Isagi's list of confirmed chemical reactions far surpasses anything that Bachira has participated in. I mean, sure, Bachira has his direct chemical reaction with Nagi, Aryu, and even Isagi, as well as his own group chemical reactions like with Rin's team and Lavenho and Atoya. But I want you to compare that to Isagi's confirmed chemical reactions. Isagi x Bachira, Isagi x Kunigami, Isagi x Yukimiya, Isagi x Nagi, Isagi x Corona, Isagi x Hiyori, Isagi x Corona x Hiyori, Isagi x Hiyori x Kunigami, Isagi x Corona x Noa. Shall I go on? Any chemical reaction that Isagi forms with Hiyori, Corona, Noa, or any of those characters simultaneously far surpasses any kind of group raid that Bachira has ever participated in. So for that, I'm going to be giving that point to Isagi. The last category is main weapon. And this category is simply a biased pick on which I personally like better. Now we're going to be comparing these two characters' main weapon, being Bachira's elastic dribbling and Isagi's metavision. While I do prefer Bachira's dribbling to Isagi's metavision in terms of me enjoying it in the series better, as well as me just personally wanting it myself, I do have to say that metavision is easily more useful. So because I like dribbling better, but metavision is more useful, I'm going to be giving a point to both characters. Both abilities are super incredible and useful in their own way, so it's very hard for me to decide which weapon deserves this point, so I'm going to be giving it to both of them. But with that, let's take a look at the scoreboard to see who won this matchup. Starting with Meguru Bachira, Bachira took physique, speed, dribbling, passing, and received a point for main weapon. Yoichi Isagi, however, he took stamina, IQ, game IQ, vision, offense, defense, off-the-ball movements, finishing, ego, shooting, chemical reactions, and received a point for main weapon. So with the score of 5-12, the winner of this matchup is Yoichi Isagi. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and will leave your requests for future videos down below in the comment section. For the question of the video, who do you like better, Meguru Bachira or Yoichi Isagi? Leave me your thoughts down in the comment section below. And like always, thank you all for watching, like and subscribe for more content just like this.